And we begin this Sunday morning with the threat of communist China, now inside the gates of America. The nation's governors now are standing up in the name of national security amidst President Biden's soft approach on communist China, despite its provocations. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is pushing to ban Chinese real estate investments in Florida and CCP-backed social media app TikTok. In South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem is leading a charge to block China from buying valuable farmland. Her efforts hindered last week with the state legislature rejecting the proposal under pressure from the state's major agricultural groups, afraid of China retaliation. And then in Virginia, Governor Glenn Yankin poised to sign a bill to ban the CCP from buying farmland and bar TikTok on state-owned devices. Last month, Governor Yankin pulled the state out of the running for a new $3.5 billion Ford Motor plant because the electric vehicle battery factory would have used technology made in China. Joining us now to examine the threat to U.S. national security is the man himself, Virginia Republican Governor Glenn Yankin. Governor, thanks very much for being with us this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Maria. And the issues you've just raised are critical national security issues. And let's just be clear. China has one goal, world domination, to do it at the expense of the United States. They're using every avenue possible from, yes, saber rattling with their military to surveillance with balloons and TikTok, and from trying to infiltrate our economic supply chain by using Trojan horse relationships like the one they have engineered with Ford Motor Company. And in Virginia, we're standing up strong. We're going to make sure that our agricultural farmland is not purchased by the CCP. We've got a bill now through on a bipartisan basis that I will sign that will keep China from buying our agricultural farmland, particularly next to our nationally strategic assets like the Pentagon and Quantico and the largest naval base in the world. We're going to make sure that we keep these national strategic assets safe. We're going to make sure that TikTok isn't going to be used for surveillance with Virginia government employees. And Maria, we went to work to fully understand what was going on between Ford and a company called Cattle that is not just influenced, but controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, and to not allow them to use a Trojan horse structure to gain access to taxpayer incentives that were put into the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, this is using taxpayer money to further and enrich a Chinese company at the expense of America.
Well, it's just incredible how much reliance America has on China. And we saw that through the pandemic when the propaganda sites like Xinhua News and the Global Times came out and said, well, maybe we shouldn't send the prescription drugs to America that they need. So, Governor, what do you want to say to people like Tim Cook, Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, who want to double down on investing in China, in doing so, expanding the strength of the CCP, funding their expansion? You've used your business acumen to actually make change. What about those CEOs that are looking at dollar signs in China, selling to the 1.4 billion person population?
Maria, through my business experience, I've actually sat across the table from leaders of the Chinese Communist Party. I know exactly what they're doing, and they are using their economic coercion tactics in order to gain access to our supply chain. And that's exactly what they did to General Motors back in 2016 when they demanded General Motors dump Korean battery manufacturer supplier in China and replace it with Cattle, this Chinese manufacturer. We just need to have everybody wake up and understand that economic security for the United States is critical. And in these most important industries, like semiconductors, like EVs, like solar panel manufacturers, like all of the technologies that drive them, we must own that supply chain. In addition to our pharmaceutical supply chain, it must be American-owned, American-domiciled. Otherwise, we will continue to watch the Biden administration, in pursuit of their green agenda, sell out to the Communist Chinese Party, and we can't let it happen.
Well, it's unbelievable to me that we've had such a soft response. They obviously have a plan. And it's meticulous. They had that balloon fly over our installations, our military installations, nuclear installations. And you're telling me about Cattle wanting to set up shop right near the Pentagon in Virginia, right near Quantico. Tell me more about that. How are they doing this?
Well, first of all, the Biden administration is allowing them to do it. And this is the big realization that I hope that our congressional oversight committees, American CEOs, and American people like Virginians now fully understand that the liberal agenda will stand up to China until it gets uncomfortable. And the minute that it encroaches on their green agenda or their liberal agenda to take donations from China into our universities and other places, they will back down. And we must be tough here. We have to recognize that the ultimate objective of the Chinese, as I said, is world domination at the expense of the United States. They will continue to use every economic lever they can in order to do that. And that includes buying our agricultural land and farmland. That includes invading the economic supply chains of these most critical industries. I mean, they've been up to this for decades. Yeah. And we've turned a blind eye. And now we see the decade-long plan to dominate the minerals industry, to dominate the supply chain for electric vehicles, for solar panels, to dominate the supply chain for pharmaceuticals, to dominate the supply chain for next-gen computer science and technical supply chain.